So over the past few months, we've been able to establish two clients.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of what they're learning is self-love,
Mm-hmm.
right? Self-love and self-care.
Right.
You've been kind of heading that up because you've had your battles with self-love and self-care.
Right.
So how do you think that's been going over the past few months and what they're learning?
I think it's been awesome. I really do. I think it's been liberating for me to see out of my mess. There's a message, a bigger message of what it feels like to hold yourself accountable, to be accountable to yourself, accountable to your journey. The more accountable we are to ourselves, the more dependable and consistent we can be to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's just been that area that we've missed for so long. Self-love is very underrated. Our go-to is to take care of everybody else. And so we end up taking care of everybody else at the expense of ourselves.
Do you think self-love, the lack of self-love, do you think that comes from something that your parents should have given you? Or do you think that's an individual thing?
I think it's a combination of both. I think a lot of, if you think about it, science says the hierarchy of needs, right? A lot of how we choose or how we are taught to love stems from when we're children. But then circumstances and situations can really affect our self-love as well. So I just think it really just depends on your experience, like life experience and how you're shaped, because some people can have the best environments at home and still battle with that.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think about the concept of self-love, that's something that just doesn't stop. I think when we don't do it, or when we don't know how to do it, then we end up giving pinning a lot of that responsibility on the people that we love.
So you mentioned how, like, a lot of times we don't know how to do it.
Right.
So if I was coming into you
mm-hmm.
and I said, hey, I don't know how to love myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know where to start, where to begin. What would be like the first two things you would really tell me and how I can better start loving myself?
So there's a twofold part to that. I would definitely ask you what your spiritual relationship is like.
Mm-hmm.
Because I truly believe that, I think we've talked about it before, that you have to have a relationship with God. Like, you got to know who and whose you are. Like, what does he say? Who does he say you are, right? And then the next thing would be, what are you telling yourself? How are you talking to yourself? Are you talking to yourself?
Talk to me a little bit more about that, talking to yourself.
So talking to yourself is like, what do you tell yourself when you get up? Are you focusing on where you failed? Are you focusing on all the opportunities, more opportunities that you have, the opportunity to do better? Are you looking at what you're doing wrong? Are you saying that you're a bad person? Are you sitting in your failures? Or are you hyping yourself up? Not, more so as in, who am I? I am special. I am determined. I won't stay in this space. I will arrive. It's just like, who do you say that you are?
So it's safe to say that a lot of times people that don't love themselves usually are pessimists. They usually look at the negative in a situation versus what positives they have, what wins they have. They prefer to look at their losses over the wins.
Absolutely, but you sabotage yourself.
Self-sabotage.
Self-sabotage. And it starts internally. And when you start the internal sabotage, that's like a disease.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it attaches itself to everything and everybody that you're attached to. And so you start to see the negatives in situations and dismiss the positives or play down your successes. And so that's what I mean by changing your mindset and changing what you tell yourself, so that you won't allow other people to dictate who you are. You already know that.
Now, one of the things that we talk about with our clients is I am statements. Mm-hmm. That's a big piece because a lot of times it's a struggle for our clients to stand in the mirror and look at themselves and say, I am gorgeous, I am strong, I am wealthy. And so we always say, well, if you can't say I am, say I will, give you something to work towards.
Right.
How has that helped you in your journey to self-love and self-care throughout your life?
It's helped me to see my potential and thrive in it.
Because you're speaking it?
Because I'm speaking it to myself. I'm very blessed to have you affirm me. And I'm thankful for the notes that you leave on the counter and things like that. But what I realized was I wasn't doing that for myself. So for me, it helps me to be accountable to myself first before I'm accountable to everybody else. And so those I ams is, yes, it's a work in progress. How many times have we looked in the mirror and just stood there and hyped ourselves up? Like, do we do that? Do we ever? But we can tell ourselves when we're not doing right. We can tell ourselves when when we failed at something and sit in that. And you can attest that it was a hard place for me when I failed. But now it's like the more I tell myself I am, the more I believe it. And if I can't say that I am strong, then I can say I will be. I will be strong. I will get through this. I might not feel like I am going to get through this, but I can feel like I'm working towards it. So I will get through this. I will not give up. I will keep going. Like, those are the types of things that spark that fire or keep that fire burning internally, so that when someone tells me that I can't, or when I feel like I can't, I will.
So with the I am statements, then it's like either the I will or the I am statements, but mainly the I am statements. It's like, if you say it enough, then you start to think it.
Yes.
If you think it enough, then you start to believe it. If you believe it enough, then you start to become it.
Absolutely.
So you go from your I will to I am.
Yeah.
And then your I am turned into real life projection of action.
Absolutely.
Because you've done it over a certain amount of time. It takes 21 days to form a habit. So over these 21 days, if you're getting up every morning, you're looking in the mirror, you're saying, I am bold, I am beautiful, I am
capable,
able, right. So when you do that, essentially over a 2-3 week period, you start to really believe it.
Yeah.
And then you start to see changes and shifts around you, because you're speaking this positivity into the world.
Absolutely.
If you speak the positivity into the universe, it has to come back and be reciprocated.
Absolutely. It's the manifestation of what you want to see in your life. That's what I ams and I wills are. What is it that you want to see? Because a lot of us don't speak to what we want to see. We speak to what is. And if we sit in what is, we'll never know what could be. So that is why it is important for our clients to understand what it means to hype themselves up. It's not the responsibility of everybody around you. When you have that temperature set, that burning desire to be, to know that you are, that's contagious. And so the people around you, you'll be able to really sit in those celebratory moments, even if they're small. You'll be able to, feel like you're winning even when you lose.
I appreciate you sharing that information. I'm sure this is going to help a lot of people. It's been helping our clients.
Yeah.
We're working on some things that's going to help the world.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to be able to talk about those things, but I'll leave with 2 I am statements for myself.
Yes, what are they?
I am proud of you and the woman that you're becoming. And I am super blessed to have you as my wife.
Oh, babe.
And I appreciate you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That means so much. Well, I am proud to be on this journey with you. And I am so blessed to have a husband that believed in me when I didn't. And that your hope for me and your vision for who I am before I knew who I was is a direct reflection of what I am today. So thank you.
Absolutely. Live from the playroom. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Keep chameleon loving.